in Schuylkill County are feeling a bit rattled after something that felt like an explosion shook the floors and windows of their homes. Newswatch 16's Suzanne Goldklang has the story.
Things are usually pretty quiet around Sabrina and Todd Sterner's home near Schuylkill Haven. The loudest noise is usually Hoagie the dog barking. But Friday night, something shattered the peace and quiet.
Well, I was just sitting here on the couch, and it was around 9:30, and just a big boom, like it was almost like a quarter stick, and the house shook and the windows shook.
It was a boom, real deep, and you almost felt the concussion of it, of the actual shock. Nothing like a gunshot.
The couple looked outside but couldn't see what had made the sound.
The Sterners weren't the only family to hear their windows rattle. Reports of explosions were phoned into the state police from across southern Schuylkill County.
I just heard booms. I was in the produce shop doing my job, and boom, boom, boom.
At Bill's Produce Market Christmas tree lot, even people who didn't hear the boom wondered what was causing it.
Makes me very curious. It was a little frightening, a little disturbing.
State police say there's no way to know for sure what made that loud sound, but troopers suspect it might be caused by people shooting guns at tannerite canisters, which are known for making quite a racket when they're hit. The product is legal and can be bought at sporting goods stores. Schuylkill Haven police say they don't believe the activity presents a danger to the public, but it sure can make enough noise to leave the neighbors up in arms.
If it shakes the house, that's pretty loud.
Suzanne Goldklang, Newswatch 16, Schuylkill County.
Well, if you thought you felt the earth move beneath you in the early morning hours, you're not alone. A small earthquake, registering at 3.6, shook the area near Cornwall today just after midnight. The quake was reported 15 kilometers from Cornwall and was felt as far as northern New York, as well as in Montreal. No damage has been reported, but there are reports that residents heard a loud crack before the rumbling began, lasting around 20 minutes.
Here is what some people had to say on EarthquakeReport.com and VolcanoDiscovery.com. Keep in mind, most small quakes are not audible even at the epicenter. I'm basing this off the 3.0 quakes that happen in the Oklahoma area every day, but most people never report an audible sound. So why this one? Quote, Cornwall, there was a big-ass bang. Cornwall, my first earthquake. The sound frightened me as much the shaking. I thought the furnace had exploded in the basement. My husband was awakened by the shaking of the bed. I was still up. The dog is still frightened. It's night time, but I don't see any damage. Cornwall, sounded like a bomb went off. Cornwall, loud bang, immediate strong shaking, short duration, maybe 5 to 7 seconds. No damage. Hopkinton, USA, loud boom, then rumbling for about 10 seconds. No damage. Ingleside, it was like a rolling rumble sound, not much shaking. No damage that I know of. Cornwall, Canada, 4 kilometers NW from epicenter. No details. Felt pressure on the house and then the house shook right after. Reported from New Brunswick. Stayed last night at the Century in Cornwall. Strong shaking. My daughter and I were sleeping, and just past midnight we were woken by a loud bang, like a big truck drove in the Century Motel and smashed into one of our neighboring rooms. Our beds shook violently, and I ran outside to see if our car had been demolished by another much larger vehicle. The rumbling continued for about 2 minutes. Very scary experience. Our cat was terrified and flipping out for hours after that, running around, well, like a scaredy cat. Rushton, NY, moderate shaking, sounded like a train coning, then a big bang. Shook the whole house. Paul Smiths, United States, was reading in bed and heard a thunder-like noise, then rumbling that lasted longer than thunder would last, with a definitely perceptible shaking. Cornwall, Canada, 5 kilometers NW from epicenter. It was like a big boom and house shook. I'm used to longer earthquakes. This so far has had no many aftershocks. Freaked out the cat and woke both of us up. Cornwall, Canada, 5 kilometers NW from epicenter. Honestly sounded like a sonic boom. Then the entire house shifted. Only lasted maybe 5 to 10 seconds. Low tone was heard but super loud. End quote. I'll leave a link to these 2 sites. Mystery boom near Brainerd, Minnesota, November 27, 2015. Quote, mystery boom shakes Deerwood neighborhood. A loud boom heard by many in Deerwood Thursday prompted firefighters and sheriff's deputies to search for a possible explosion shortly before 1 p.m. Thanksgiving Day. A caller reported the boom and described that it sounded as if something had exploded. Deerwood Fire Chief Mike Bodie said Friday some of the volunteer firefighters were also among those who heard the loud sound, which occurred in the vicinity of the 23,000 block of Serpent Road. Bodie said the department, along with deputies from the Crow Wing County Sheriff's Office, searched the area for well over a half hour, but were unable to locate the source of the sound, end quote. Possible mystery booms over the UK, November 20th, 2015. Quote, residents of Schuylkill, Hedingham left concerned after series of loud bangs heard in village. Residents were left concerned after a series of loud bangs were heard across their village. Some villagers in Schuylkill, Hedingham feared they were under attack after loud bangs and gunfire were heard for several weeks. Residents reported hearing the noises every day at the same time in the afternoon and took to Facebook to express their thoughts. Kylie Kirby, who has lived in the village for 4 years, said, I heard boom-like sounds. Obviously, with everything that is going on around the world, I'm a little uneasy, but I am a bit of a scaredy cat anyway. I've never heard it until this week. It made me a little nervous, Zoe Jazz Jai added. It went straight through us and a couple of times has shaken the house, another resident said. It sounded like someone dropped a skip on the neighbor's drive, Tracy Williams added. It sounded like someone had dropped a shipping container from a great height, Tracy Goodchild said. There were 2 massive bangs. They made me jump out of my skin, and MOD spokesman said. Between November 9th to 20, some exercises took place on the MOD police site at Wethersfield, involving the use of controlled explosives, flares and blank small arms fire. In all cases, the noise ceased by 7:30 p.m. Residents in the immediate locality of the site were forewarned by letter. These sorts of exercises are routine for the force. The 1,000-acre Wethersfield site, which has always been used for police training, is very suitable for a range of exercises, including the initial firearms training given to all our new recruits. This is not the first time villagers have felt under attack. After a convoy of tanks was seen heading through on its way to the air base in October. The tanks had been seized as part of an MOD police operation, as it is believed they had been acquired illegally by a private collector, end quote. Again, there are many of these articles that correlate a loud boom or bang to military or police training. If people are over 5 miles away from the training site but they still reported that it shook their windows, that should be a red flag that this was not normal event, let alone people saying it shook from over 10 miles away. Let us know if you heard any mystery booms.